You are listening to Torah Treasures, a messianic perspective on the weekly Torah portion, featuring Rabbi Jason Sobel.
This week's Torah portion is Parasha Miqqetz. Jewish tradition talks about two messiahs, Mashiach ben David, Messiah the son of David, the royal Messiah, and Mashiach ben Yosef, Messiah the son of Joseph, the suffering one. Why is Joseph chosen to be the representative of the Messiah? How does the life of Joseph foreshadow the life of the Messiah? Each Saturday night, as we recite Havdalah, the closing blessings of the Sabbath, we sing about Elijah coming with the Messiah, son of David. This reference is an obvious allusion to the Messiah's kingship found in passages such as Isaiah 11 and 2 Samuel 7. The Tanakh also speaks of a suffering Messiah, along with a kingly one. The prophet Zechariah summarizes the seeming contradiction in the confluence of a majestic king who rides on a lowly donkey, Zechariah 9:9. It is this suffering, lowly Messiah that earns the title Mashiach ben Yosef, Messiah the son of Joseph. From where does this concept of Messiah son of Joseph come? In order to answer this question, we must first briefly outline the sufferings of the Messiah in Jewish tradition. The first story referencing the title Mashiach ben Yosef is found in a debate in the Talmud over the source of mourning mentioned in Zechariah 12:10, which states, "And I will pour out on the house of David and on the inhabitants of Jerusalem a spirit of grace and supplication. They will look on me, the one whom they have pierced, and they will mourn for him as one mourns for an only child, and grieve bitterly for him as one grieves for a firstborn son." One explained, the cause is the slaying of the Messiah, the son of Joseph, and the other explained, the cause is the slaying of the evil inclination. Here the inference is that those weeping are the same ones that also committed the slaying. Behind this inference, we can make the assumption of a progression starting with rejection, ostracizing, and finally cutting off completely. The basis for the first suffering, the rejection of the Messiah, is implied in numerous passages in the Tanakh, such as Isaiah 53, and especially in the motif of the chief cornerstone that the builders reject, Psalm 118:22, 1 Peter 2:7 and 8. Following the suffering of rejection comes humiliation. The rabbis relate this to the suffering Messiah of Isaiah 53. He was pierced for our transgressions, he was crushed for our iniquities, and by his stripes we are healed. A famous Aggadic story in the Talmud tells of the prophet Elijah's revelation to Rabbi Yehoshua ben Levi that the Messiah sits at the gates of Rome among the lepers, removing their bandages, Sanhedrin 98a. The Midrash also makes a striking commentary based upon the connection to the story of Joseph. The Messiah is submissive, and yet he promises salvation. According to Zechariah 9:9, for when they laughed at him while he stayed in prison, he submitted for the sake of Israel to the judgment imposed upon him, afflicted, humbled, and riding upon a donkey describes the Messiah. The last suffering is the assumption of the sins and sicknesses of the perpetrators. Again, quoting from the Midrash, we see an amazing conversation that is said to have taken place between the Messiah and the Father in heaven. The Heavenly Father speaking to the Messiah says, "Israel's sins will be upon you like a yoke of iron. Because of their sins, your tongue will cleave to the roof of your mouth. Ephraim, son of Joseph, my true Messiah, ever since the 6 days of creation, you have taken this ordeal upon yourself. Your pain is my pain." Messiah replies, "Master of the world, I accept this so that not a single one of the house of Israel should perish." In this suffering, the Mashiach ben Yosef accepts the whole of the suffering, not only on behalf of those that wronged him, but also with the realization that the Father too joins in this suffering with him. Like Joseph in this week's Parsha, the Messiah who is called the son of Joseph experiences rejection, humiliation, and suffering, so that in the end God's people might be saved. As Joseph himself said to his brothers, "And now do not be distressed, and do not be angry with yourselves for the selling of me here, for it was to save lives that God sent me ahead of you." God in his goodness allowed Messiah Yeshua to go ahead of us and to suffer in order to save our lives and to prepare a place for us in the world to come, like Joseph prepared a place for his brothers in Egypt.